97X, the Quad Cities Classic Rock Authority. How are you? It's Bill Stage and with Sid Juwarker. He is the owner of Tee Hee's Comedy Club in Des Moines and is bringing a great comedy show to Clinton Saturday night, the night before Valentine's Day. Tomorrow, if you're watching this video today. How are you, Sid?
I'm great, man. Thanks for having me on. This is awesome.
Absolutely, yes. Thanks for coming on. When the pandemic hit, it kind of everything shut down, but comedy really took a hit. Have you had a different outlet for
Yes.
comedy? What have you been doing to scratch that itch?
Well, I'll tell you what, though. The interesting thing that people may not know is that the comedy club opened on January 1, 2020. So we were open for 3 months before the pandemic actually hit, and then shut down for 3 months of our first 6 months being open, pretty much. So
Wow.
it was kind of a fun way to look at it. And I wouldn't say fun way, but I always try to find the positive in it. And how many times does a business get to open, and while we're successful and things are going well, and you just caught up in the middle of it, suddenly decide, hey, through no fault of ours, we get a complete reset and fix everything that is wrong.
Yeah, it's like a soft
The other part
start.
of the Yeah, exactly. It's like, and nobody judges you for shutting your doors for a bit. So, and most times new businesses, you go all the time. You don't have time to fix things. So we did some fixing and changing things. But the biggest thing that came out of that is, even though our model was to be an independent comedy club, we did have a lot of ideas of people visiting and bringing new levels of comedy to Des Moines as they travel through the state, where these aren't national touring comics. These are smaller comics that needed a good stage to perform at. And what happened with the pandemic and other states closing down and comics not traveling is we almost switched to a supporting local comedy only model.
Mm.
And that has taken off in such a way that we've been able to survive by only using local talent. In Des
Wow.
Moines, Central Iowa, we even get people from the Quad Cities, sometimes through Chicago, but
Mm.
mostly Iowa comedians. And nobody thought Iowa comedians can, keep a comedy club open for a year. And yes, they can.
Yeah. No,
And
that's
it's actually
great to
built
hear.
up the local comedy scene.
Yeah, we've got
Yeah,
a nice little comedy scene down in the Quad Cities. Do you guys ever
amazing.
kind of trade off tactics and all that? How does that work?
Absolutely. Chris Littling out of the city is a great friend of mine. He does a show called Tom Foolery on Tremont at the Redwick Mansion. I've been on that show a couple, 3 times, 4 times maybe.
Nice.
Chris has come down and done shows for me in Des Moines. We've both done Funny Bones together. I mean, it's a very inclusive scene, and there's
Yeah.
no like territorial stuff. We help each other out. We perform on each other's stages, and it's been fun, man.
That's great. So you're the owner of Tee Hee's in Des Moines. You're also a comedian. I'm very interested in the marketing of both because it's different worlds. It's a different business
Right.
model. What is there any differentiation between the two? Are there any things that go together?
I think the part that I learned the best about is being a performer first and then a comedy club owner second. I have a different way of communicating with comedians who come to our stage because I've done what they've done. And so I'm able to communicate with them with the level of honesty, especially with what we do at our comedy club. We're completely transparent on the money up front. It's not cloak and dagger, sliding someone's money after show. It's, hey, here's what we got. Give them a full idea of our financial model, where how many tickets we're going to sell, how much they're going to get paid, and this is all in the up and up. The other part is, as a comedy club, as a performer, I was able to make certain changes in the physical aspect of a comedy club
Sure.
that work, that other comedy clubs may not have it because they don't see it from the stage perspective. So
Mhm.
some comedians who visited our place are like, hey, man, this is amazing. We don't get a room like this. So
Yeah.
that's been kind of cool. It's small, it's intimate, but at the same time, it has little nuances to it that you won't find at a bar that became a comedy club, etc. So
Yeah, yeah, that is nice. And coming from the performer perspective, that's you'll get people when comics want to come to your place, that brings out better comics, and then the whole everything just kind of feeds itself.
yeah. Yeah, I don't get to perform as much now though because nobody books me because they think I'm a comedy club owner. I don't do comedy anymore. So if you're listening to this, call me. I want to do comedy.
That's right. When was the last time you were on stage?
Oh, I get to on stage. Like I just mentioned, I think it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I did the show at Chris's out in the Quad Cities, and that was cool. I host my own shows sometimes on stage at our club, but I try not to put myself on my own lineup. It's kind of a weird look when you're trying to do that, and people think you
Yeah.
built a comedy club to get stage time. It's
Which is not a bad idea.
not a bad idea. Bad financial model, though.
When you're writing your material, do you work it out on stage? How do you, has the pandemic helped or hurt the writing process?
I would say it's forced more people to focus on material because our open mic scene at Tee Hee's in Des Moines and everywhere else is where all those jokes come to life.
Mhm.
You have to perform at open mic. A lot of people have the misconception you write a joke down in a book and then you have a Netflix special. It's not how that works. Some of the stuff that I've put together as a 15-minute set has been 4 to 5 of evolving material, doing open mics almost weekly,
Yeah.
telling the same joke probably like 100 and 200 times before it's even got the timing and the right punchline. So
Right.
to me, that process is always going to be important.
Mhm.
The difference is because of the pandemic, a lot of people haven't had the opportunity to get that stage time to work out these jokes.
Right.
So I would say that it's become a little less refined, but it's definitely creating good material because people are spending more time writing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm kind of familiar with, and many people might be familiar with the churn and burn kind of cycle of comedian. You tour, you build, and then you record, you put out an album, and then many don't ever do those jokes ever again. Is there anything similar in more of a regional, local comedians joke writing cycle?
Yeah, I would say that once you put it on an album or you're known for a joke where uh, it's sort of your signature joke, it's time to retire it, but sometimes bring it out when it's cute and fun. But but when you're not traveling and doing shows in different cities and different clubs where nobody's heard your material,
Yeah.
it's a lot easier to live that set for a while, right? But when, say, there's a pandemic going on and all your shows are within a 50-mile radius of where you live, your fan base is the same ones, your friends and family coming out to see the show, you almost owe them new material, right? Because you don't want them mouthing your punchline before you deliver it. It's not going to get the same energy on the show.
Yeah.
Sometimes this is forced people to, like I said, you've got to have new stuff because people are performing for generally the same geographical area and the same peoples.
Mm-hmm.
It's been interesting to see over the last year that some comics I didn't realize was quite prolific with their joke writing have started to have to step up, and it's given me a challenge too. I've had to, because you can't really do all pandemic material, right? Because everyone else is doing it. So, but you're not going out, nothing's happening in the world, you have nothing to inspire you. It's kind of fun. So yeah, it's good.
Does social media ever come into play? Do you ever test anything out on Twitter and see if it gets a reaction and maybe that's a seed of something?
I test most of my joke premises as Facebook status updates, like it's happening to me, because my stuff is mostly anecdotal.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people who are one-liner or want to claim a topic because, parallel thought and stuff, will use Twitter to sort of timestamp the fact that it's their joke.
Right.
My stuff is more like, you really can't steal that because it's about being a brown man in Iowa. Go for it.
Good luck.
Obvious. It's not your joke. So I have a unique POV that works for me, so I can just sort of, sprinkle it everywhere and not have to worry about it being on somebody else's set. So,
Yeah.
But Twitter is where the quick stuff happens. Facebook, you sort of crowdsource comments, reactions to see what's going to take that and put it into joke format at open mic. Make it into a set someday, put multiple sets together to have a special, and next thing you know, you're headlining, do it an hour somewhere else. So
yeah, that's great, man. How quick do you jump on a new platform? Is Clubhouse something you got your ears on?
I just downloaded it, and about 2 weeks in, I'm kind of like, okay, I think I added too many people and followed too many things, because right now, if I get another invite to listen to about Bitcoin, I'm gonna lose my damn mind.
The algorithm's completely screwed up.
I curate my list well, so I just thought, hey, it's like Twitter, add people, follow people, and figure it out. But
yeah,
I think because these are all things that don't interest me, I should have been a little more selective in who I followed and what I wanted to know. So I'm gonna work on that this weekend at some point, and then maybe I'll get more out of Clubhouse. Are you on it?
I'm not on it yet. I'm a little bit slow to the moving pendulum of social media, I guess. But I guess don't you have to be
It's blown up.
invited to it? How does that work?
Hey, I'll shoot you an invite right after this call, baby. You're
There you
good.
go. I'll jump right on. You can invite me. We'll get into a room or whatever the hell it
Yeah,
is.
it's fun. I think there's little things you hear people talk, but I haven't seen it sort of. I still haven't figured out the promotional aspect of it. Once I have to start your own club and gather a following, maybe sure. I see it.
Yeah.
I see it eventually being a good thing for like joke writing and collaborating.
Right.
I haven't seen the sales aspect of it, which is probably why people like it. So
Right. Yeah. If you can make money on, marketing's going to ruin everything at some point. So we'll figure out
right,
how to make money on it.
yeah.
But with being a small business owner, how do you market the club? Are you using social media? Are you using, obviously some of the shows that you're on are using radio, thank goodness.
100% social media and word of mouth right now, and not because that's a good idea. It's because I blew my marketing and advertising budget on my lease because we opened up during a pandemic. My building doesn't even have a sign on it, man. It's cool. And that's, I don't know, it just kind of accidentally created an underground vibe. Here's a cool thing. We opened up in January. We've only been open for a year. Yeah. And we just won City View's best local place to watch a comedy show in our first year. And I don't know, man, that was a special moment. Not to take anything away from Funny Bone, they're an amazing club with national touring acts, but the people who perform on my stage aren't like, that level yet. And it's giving them a chance to perform, and people are loving the shows, and it's good.
That's awesome. Well, it's been a while since I've had a conversation with a comedian. I didn't know if you were aware of how Roy Wood Jr. got his start in touring. I think it might have been Funny Bone stuff. Are you familiar with that story at all?
I'm not.
I'm obsessed with it. What basically he kind of put together these radio bits and sent them out on CD back when that was a thing. And he would send them out to all these, the biggest radio station in the town that the Funny Bone or whatever it was, the comedy club of the era. And he would build this following on the radio. And then he would call the comedy club and say, hey, I'm interested in playing. I've got this following on the radio station. I can get interviewed and da-da-da-da-da. He built a really cool, if you ever get a chance, do some Googling, do some YouTubing. And Roy Wood Jr., he's really interesting cat. So
that's awesome. And I'll tell you from a club owner perspective, because people submit to the club to perform, I can tell you right now, the hustle is what counts, man. I barely have time to watch clips. I can just tell the confidence in the hustle. Yeah. Like to a point where sometimes like, some of the best comedians we put on our stage are the most annoying. It's been great. I was like, man, you really want this? I will put you on my stage just so you stop contacting me.
Shut up.
Exactly. It's great. I'm going to have to look that up. That's awesome. And I'm a huge fan. Roy Wood Jr. is great. And I'm going to have to check it out.
Yeah, you have to check that out. Tell me a little bit about the show that's going on tomorrow night, Saturday night at the Wild Rose Casino in Clinton. You got a big group of people to get together for a little Valentine's party, huh?
Yeah, we called it the Loves. We just wanted a love-themed show. And part of the show is to showcase local talent. Like I mentioned, we've been performing in Des Moines. Iowa comedians. Not one person on this lineup is not an Iowa comedian. Nice. And I wanted these people to have a chance to perform on a stage in front of a different audience, get the same feeling they get on our stage. We have our headliner, Dante Powell. We'll start with him. He was born in Louisiana, is an Iowa transplant. The beauty of Dante is he travels all across the country doing comedy, or used to at least before the pandemic. He had a #1 comedy album on iTunes for a little bit, The Squirrels Get Fat. Amazing comedian, unique point of view that you're not going to see. But when he travels, what I like about Dante the best is when he travels the country, he always builds himself as an Iowa comedian, man. And I like that to me is all you need to know about the guy. You're going to love him. He's on there. Jen Cool, she's going to be a crowd favorite. She's from the Quad Cities, comes to Des Moines quite a bit. And, just to have someone from that region. I've got Matt Jacobson and Dustin on this lineup too. Both of them grew up within 20 miles of Clinton. So it's kind of like got that little, I wanted to have them to like, they're going to have that little like coming back home feel. I don't know if they still keep in contact with friends and family there. That wasn't the reason. Yeah. It's like, hey, here's a chance. Like, all those ones who said you'd never make it in comedy. I'm kidding. They probably didn't even know they were comedians. And We got Luke from the Quad Cities as well, and it's good. I'm going to host. I'm going to do some stuff up top.
Mhm.
It's just, and Jack Lewis, he's just a high energy guy. He's got his own show in Des Moines, and he's a different cat, man. And I think like just this mix of weird people. Of course, our show is going to be produced by AJ Simmons, that runs No Sleep in Des Moines. Sold out Woolies for a comedy show. That's crazy. Um, and so this is just sort of going to be like to be honest, selfishly, I just want to take a road trip with my friends, man. And this is a cool
That's
group of people to do it with.
very cool. Well, it sounds like a great way for people to get out there on and they're gonna do it safe. They're gonna require
Absolutely.
distance and all that. So the
Yeah.
protocols for all of that is in place over there at the Wild
I
Rose.
already did a show with them last Saturday with a group from Chicago. Every table was 6 feet apart.
Yeah.
People were respectful. This is going to be a good vibe in a huge ballroom, a lot of space, no elbows to elbows. If you feel safe watching live entertainment in a place that you know is respecting you and your health as well as the people around you, this is the place. Tomorrow, 7 o'clock, Clinton. Tickets are online. They're only $10 too, man. This is a
Yeah.
steal.
Very
So this is
cool.
going to be a good show.
Wild Rose Casino, Wild Rose Resorts, wildroseresorts.com/Clinton. They'll have the tickets there for you, and you can buy them when you get there in person as well. So that's going to be a great show, supporting some local businesses, some local comedians, and just having a good time for Valentine's Day. Sid
Yes,
Juwarker,
sir.
thank you so much, man.
Thank you so much, man. This is great. And I'm going to look up Roy Wood Jr. I appreciate the recommendation. That's good
All
stuff.
right, brother. You have a great one.
See you soon.